Well, good morning, everyone. I'm excited for this morning to see what God has for us in store here. And as part of the missions here at Light in the Valley, I'm just excited to have Operation 612 here and to just hear how God is transforming some lives. And so, without further ado, I will turn the time over to David Hirschberger, and he's going to share a little bit about the ministry, and so I'll turn the time over to him.
Thank you, and thank you for having us. Like you said, my name is David Hirschberger, my wife Esta, and we are Operation 612. Our men's program is right in your backyard, right down here on County Road 70. The women and children, which we're just about ready to open up, is in Sturgis, Michigan. And I guess I'll do kind of the who we are and what we do and then how we do it. Who we are, Paul Fair started this ministry 5 years ago. And I've been with him from day one. Paul and our oldest son were best friends back in the drug world. So now that we can work together, they used to be my worst enemies. Now they're good friends that we can work together in helping other people find freedom. Paul is the director and the founder. There's 4 of us that are there full time. Dan Molsan is the house manager. I do the public relations and just whatever else needs done. Wayne goes out. Wayne Byler, which will be giving his testimony here a little bit later. He goes out with the guys a lot when they go volunteering and just whatever needs to be done on projects and so forth. And Leonard here works part-time as a counselor and being with the guys when somebody else needs a weekend off or whatever. So the reason you have to put up with me and Wayne, Paul and Dan are out of town this weekend. But who we are, I guess our vision as Operation 612 is bringing people out of addiction and to Christ. And I guess our vision is that we can break down barriers in denominations and work together. I think once we have a family member that has a problem like that, we understand that denominations have nothing to do with it anymore. And we can pull together to help the families, help the person in addiction, but when we can lead somebody to freedom through the ministry and they can go back to their families and lead a productive life, or go back to their families where sometimes their families don't even know Christ, and they can be a light in darkness. But what we do, it's a 7-month program, and we have 16 guys there all the time. We do a lot of Bible studies every night, every morning. I think every morning there's a different person scheduled from any denomination. And they take turns every evening, a different person is scheduled. And that's where I can call Jimmy or Phil or anybody else to fill in, and that's something to be very thankful. I think that as a group, as a family, the volunteers, the people that help, they don't care if you're Amish or if you're non-denominational or what you are. We just all band together and we got one goal in mind. So that's our vision. And they come in, and a lot of our seniors help the guys. We call them seniors, guys that have been there a couple months. They help the other guys, the new guys, which is a big help. They just do a lot of one-on-one, and it kind of operates like a big family. I always think it operates like a church. You know, you're all a brotherhood, and if you see one person hurting, these guys can see if somebody's hurting. They pull him aside, they talk to him, they pray over him, and it's just one big family working together to reach the same goal. And I guess they use the 12-step program, which in the out there in AA, the 12-step program, they talk about a higher power. In 612, it's all about God. It's not just a higher power. But through a lot of Bible studies, one-on-ones, family time, doing things together, just changing their lives. And for me personally, it's very rewarding to see somebody come in and you see them grow and how they improve, and then see them go back to their families and be productive and children. The Sugar Creek property is just about finished, and the Sturgis property is going to be for women and children. That is, we acquired that through the community from Indiana. That is not, well, it's kind of open, but still officially opening October the 15th, where we'll start taking women and children. It was a church commune there. It's 117 acres with a lot of buildings. The buildings are 35 years old, so we have to do a lot of work on them. The first building is just about done, a couple little punch things to do yet. And that building is like 40 by 80, 2 stories, 14 bedrooms, and a lot of bathrooms and playroom, and it's a beautiful setting, a lot of good trails with benches to sit down, and it's just a beautiful property. So we're really excited to get that up and going. So if any of you have groups or anything that want to come up there and volunteer or come up there and just look around, let any one of us know. I think I'm going to, at this time, what I want to do is let 2 of the guys share their testimonies, and then we'll get the guys up here and kind of tell where they're from, and then we'll finish off. So maybe Jamie and Wayne are going to share their testimonies this morning. So maybe, Jamie, you want to go first? Come on up here, Jamie.
Good morning. Yeah, so my name's Jamie McGee, 42 years old from Goshen, Indiana. A little bit about my testimony. Well, at a young age, I experienced a lot of rejection and emotional pain. I was adopted when I was 3 years old and raised in a broken family. Excuse me. I never received much affection. I had never really learned how to express my emotions in a healthy way. Never learned how to trust, or just really knew what love was and how to share that. Wasn't very social at all. Kept to myself a lot. Had my first drink of alcohol when I was 16, and really changed me. My false sense of security kind of faded to the side, and I was able to express some of my emotions and feelings, not always in a positive way either, though. From the age of 18, I started getting in a lot of trouble, going to jail. I've spent over 22 years in jail and prison due to my alcoholism. And while I was incarcerated, I spent a lot of my time learning about addiction and taking a lot of substance abuse. classes to prepare myself for when I got released. I also spent some time in the Bible, gaining knowledge of who God was, but not really having a relationship. When I was in jail a year ago, I started getting mentored by a young man, Randy Mullet. He's actually from Sugar Creek originally. But yeah, he started doing Bible studies with me and explaining some of the things in the Bible in a way I never really understood it. I started feeling conviction and guilt for the way I was living life, and I began to have a relationship with Christ. So when I got out, I spent a lot of time in the Word and was strong and was successful in staying sober for a short period of time. Being a young Christian, I still have my moments, I guess. Of course, was sinning. I ended up going back to drinking again, and I just, all the years I've spent incarcerated, I just did not want to go back, and with the conviction in my heart, I knew I needed to do something before I ended up back in jail. So Randy Mullet, my friend, he told me about 612, and I ended up coming about 3 months ago here to Sugar Creek to Operation 612. But I had my doubts because all the years I tried educating, what was 612 going to tell me that I didn't already know about addiction? But it was completely different. It wasn't what I expected at all. Our focus isn't on how broken we are in our addiction, but how broken we are as individuals and how much we need Christ in our lives. And through so many of the people that come and volunteer, I've been able to learn so much, and my relationship with Christ has really been, I've gained a lot of knowledge, more so. I also am beginning to apply it in my life, and just to learn about the love that Christ has for everyone, and feeling it in my life, and wanting to give it back to the people that are there at 612 with us, the guys. I mean, there's so many people, including myself, we come in broken and not knowing, direction, having direction in our lives. And through the studies and just the fellowship, the brotherhood, and the love, we gain a better understanding on how we can live life sober. And we can't do it on our own. We need Christ in our lives. So, I don't know, Operation 612 has been such a inspiration in helping me become the man that God has created me to be. And, I have to give all praise and glory to God for the changes that have happened in my life, and all the changes that I see in the men there at 612 also. So.
Thank you, Jamie. Jamie is also an artist, and I'm still waiting on my picture, on my painting. He's making a painting for my office, so he can't leave the program until that is done. Okay, Wayne, are you ready? Wayne Byler from Pennsylvania.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name's Wayne Byler. I was originally born in Middlefield, Ohio, and I grew up in PA. When I was 8 years old, we moved out to PA. But before we go any further, I'd like to thank everybody. Thank you, Light in the Valley, for having us this morning. Thank you for inviting us here, for what you're doing for Operation 612 and all the other ministries and outreaches that you're helping out. I thank you for that. So, like I said, my name's Wayne. I was born in Middlefield, Ohio. We moved out to Greenville, PA, which is the northwest corner of PA, when I was 8 years old. And that's where I grew up most of my life until I was 17. I grew up Amish in the Old Order Church, and we used to go to church every Sunday, every other Sunday, I should say. And we'd have Bible studies. I got 7 brothers and sisters. There's 4 boys and 4 girls, so it's a pretty large family. And we were a very close family. I had everything I needed, everything I've ever gonna want, toys, financially, mom and dad were financially well-to-do. They had pretty much everything I needed, all the love in the world that I wanted, everything I wanted, everything I desired as a child growing up was there at my disposal. I was set up for success. But I had one thing in mind, one thing in my way, and that was myself. Even at a young age, I was always getting into messes. I was always doing whatever mom and dad said not to do, I would be doing that. I remember here's pretty much sums up what I was dealing with of my spirit, the rebellious spirit that I had. When I was 6 years old, I was taking a walk with my grandpa in the woods. And we were talking about, I don't know what all we talked about, but he told me one thing, that's poison ivy, don't touch it. Don't do nothing with the poison ivy. That I was like, yeah, I don't think that's poison ivy, you're just messing around. Well, the next day I go back and I rubbed it all over me. Everywhere. I'm like, that's not poison ivy. Well, this kid was miserable for 2 weeks straight. Like, it was bad. And I'll never forget that. And that's the mentality that I carried up into my teens, my early teens. If somebody said, don't do that, that's what I would be doing. I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to do that just to prove you wrong. I remember getting a spanking 5 or 6 times a day for doing the same thing. Like, that's just what I was dealing with, that rebellious spirit. Like people would say, well, you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be hanging out with these people. You shouldn't be going to these places. But I would still do that. So that's what I carried up until when I was 14 years old and got out of school. I got my first job at a racetrack, harness racing, and racing horses. And that's where I spent the early days of my teens, racing horses. And after the races, we'd all just sit around the barn. They'd be drinking. At this point, I wouldn't be drinking. I wouldn't drink or do anything at all. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm okay. But there's one day when I caught a couple guys outside the barn smoking some weed. I'm like, They asked me, hey, you want to try? I'm like, no, that's okay. I don't want nothing to do with that. But the next day, the same thing happened. And then I tried it once. And then once led to twice. And this was when I was 14 years old, and by the time I was 16 years old, I was drinking and doing whatever else that I wanted, whatever else that went with that. So at 16 years old, and I was still living at my mom and dad's, and things weren't, the relationship between me and my mom and dad wasn't that good, because I was making my own road. I was doing whatever I wanted, and they would tell me, well, this is wrong. This is the way you should live. You should live for God. This is what God wants. This is how God is. This is all about Jesus. But I didn't want that. See, I knew about God, but I didn't want nothing to do with him. I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to have the American dream where I got a nice house, I got a beautiful wife, I got cars, I got kids, I got all the above. I wanted that American dream where I got millions of dollars in the bank. That's what I was going after, but through my sick and twisted mind, I was living for myself and nothing was working out. Nothing would work out at all. So by the time I was 16, I knew something had to change, because I was living with mom and dad, and they were telling me, you should be doing this, you You should be giving God your life. You should live for Him. This is the way that He wants. This is what He wants you to do. This is all about God. They would tell me about God, but I didn't want none of that. So I couldn't live in the same house anymore. So when I was 17, I moved back to Middlefield, Ohio, where Dad moved out of. And the reason Dad moved out of Middlefield because of all the drugs, the drinking, the partying, all the above. That's why he moved out of there. Well, when I was 17 years old, I took off, moved right back into the mess. Now, I'm not blaming that at all for my addiction because I was already well on the way. So I moved back to Middlefield, got a job in Middlefield, building greenhouses. We'd work from Monday to Thursday and then live in the motel. So, and all the guys on the crew, drinking was just normal. You drank during the day, you drank at night. You drank whenever. Whenever you felt like having a drink, you had a drink. So I started drinking, and then that led to pills. Then that led to more pills. Then it was heroin, meth, all the above. And by the time I was 21 years old, I was a complete wreck. I didn't have a place to live. I didn't have any cars. I didn't have nothing. I was done. I was nothing. I had nothing. Even though I was making good money, very good money, I still had nothing. I still felt empty inside. I still, though I thought that I had everything I've ever wanted, I still felt empty inside as far as just empty, lonely, utter despair. And I didn't want to live anymore. I was done living. There was no more purpose for me in life. I honestly believe that I'll be an addict till the day I die. There was nothing life had to offer for me anymore. I was done. I didn't care if I lived to see tomorrow. I didn't care if I lived to see next week. I was done. So that's the first time that I realized something needed to change again, and then my boss at that time knew something was going on. He knew that I was using. He knew he could see it very clearly. So instead of just firing me, he called my dad and tried to get me into a treatment center to help me. So I go to this treatment center, but this was in 2015, was my first encounter with a treatment center. So I go to the treatment center and I stayed there for 9 weeks. But even when I was there, I still wasn't done. I still didn't completely surrender my life to Jesus. I still didn't give my life to God and live for Him. I was still living for myself because in my mind, if I go through this program, Mom and Dad are going to think that I'm okay. I'm good again. My boss is going to give me my job back. I'll be making good money again. I'll be on my feet again. But I didn't take care of the problem that was inside of me. I didn't take care of the problem that caused the addiction in the first place. And that is the life without God, because we all have a hole. We're all broken. We all got a hole in ourselves that only God can fill. And here I was trying to shove it full of drugs, of money, gambling, sex, all the above, just trying to shove it full. And it doesn't work. You're never going to be full. You're always going to be chasing, because it's a hole only God can fill. It's a hole only Jesus can fill. So after I got out of this program, I just stayed there for 9 weeks. After I got out, within a week later, I was right back to doing the same thing that I was doing before. And 3 weeks later is when I overdosed the first time. 3 weeks after I got out of the program. And when they woke me up, I was on the ambulance headed to the hospital, and this guy was scared. I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go, but I was scared. But 2 days later, I was doing the same thing that literally almost killed me. I didn't know. I had nowhere else to turn. That was the life that I thought that I was. This is me. I'll be an addict till the day I die. So I got through that, and at this time, right after that happens, when I moved back to Mom and Dad's, because I figured if I get out of Middlefield, if I get out of that area, that my life will be okay. If I move back to Mom and Dad's, everything will be fine. I'm not going to be around the drugs no more. I'm not going to be around the same people anymore. Everything will be fine. Yeah, well, that didn't work out at all. And Middlefield's only an hour away, so I was always going up there, meeting with those people and whatever. Well, then March rolls around. That's This was from the fall of 2015 all the way up to the March of 2017 when I was kind of back and forth. I'd go to church, I'd do this, I kind of played this whole God thing where, oh yeah, he's going to church, he's doing good, yada, 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 all the above, playing this like two personalities. Like I'd be going to church, putting on a face that people would think, oh yeah, I'm doing okay, I'm doing the right thing. Well, behind closed doors, there was nothing. Nothing was there. Total emptiness was there. I was back using behind closed doors. Well, then in March of 2017 is the second time that I overdosed. And that time that I overdosed, I didn't care. I wanted to die. I was angry that I woke up. I was angry that they brought me back because there was nothing this life had to offer. There was nothing. I had nothing. Like I said, I had no house, no car. I was living with my mom and dad, 23 years old. In my mind, by this time I was supposed to be married, have a car, have a good job, have a solid career, all the above, but I had nothing. I had no purpose, nothing but utter despair and loneliness, feeling like I was the only person on earth. There was nothing in life for me at all. So I was angry when I woke up, when they brought me back, because I wanted to die. I didn't want to wake up again. Well, that's when, I'll never forget, this was March 10th of 2017. And then March 17th of 2017 was a drug and alcohol prevention meeting up in Middlefield, Ohio. And Dad talked me into going up there to this meeting just to hang out, meet with friends, talk. Maybe he could get, because at this point I wasn't willing. I would talk to Dad about my addiction. I would talk to people about my addiction, but I would only go so far. I want to go so far, and then there'd be a wall, and that's it. Well, he talked me into going up to this meeting in Middlefield. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll go, just to entertain him, just to get him to think that I'm doing the right thing, that yeah, I'm willing to change. Well, that's when, I didn't know, but that's when Dave Hirschberger and 5 other guys from Middlefield that were in Operation 612 were there that night, and I didn't know that. So we got to talking, and basically what happened, Dave and another guy ended up talking me into coming down to 612. I was trying to come up with any excuses, any lies, any BS of not coming down here, of not doing this. I didn't want to do this, but there was something pulling me, something that I didn't know what. I was curious. I didn't want to come down here. I didn't want to participate. I didn't want to do anything but just to go back home. But there was something tugging at me to just go with these guys, just go with them. Well, on the way down here, I was already planning the next day how I'm going to get home. How I'm going to get 2.5 hours from here back to Mom and Dad's to get out of this. Well, a year and 6 months later, here I'm still here. I mean, so that tells me there's a plan. God has a plan and a purpose for everybody. So this was back in 2017. The summer of 2017 is when I went through the program, and I graduated August 27th of 2017, and I started working at Walnut Creek Planing. At first, towards the end of my graduation, I was more on the verge of, I'm going to go home, or I got a brother in Kentucky. I was thinking about moving down to Kentucky, but nothing, I prayed about it, and nothing was appealing to me. Like, there was nothing but darkness to be. And so I ended up getting an apartment in Baltic and started working at Walnut Creek Planing. And I would drive the guys to work, that's where 612 works, and I'd drive them to work every morning and bring them back home. And the more I was involved in the ministry, the more fulfilled I felt. The more that I went and talked about Jesus, my addiction, and what God has done for me, and the things He's pulled me out of, the addiction, the rejection, depression, loneliness, anger, bitterness, hate, all the above, all the things that I had to deal with, He literally pulled it out of me and saved me from that, saved me from death and darkness. So the more that I go out and spread His word and spread His the good news, the more fulfilled that I feel, the more that I want to do that. The more that you go out and spread His word, the more fulfilled that you'll feel, the more that you want. And so here, what was it, 2 months ago? It was something like that, month and a half, 2 months ago, is when I started working full-time for 612. Like Dave said, going out and working with the guys, volunteering, ministering to the guys while they minister to me. I mean, it's basically a family-oriented discipleship program where you see somebody who's hurting, you go talk to them, pray about them, pray over them. Somebody sees you're hurting, they'll do the same thing. I got their back, they got my back in everything that we do. And Operation 612 just opened the doors. See, when I was growing up, I knew about God. I knew who God was. But if someone would ask me, you know God? Yes, God is good. But that's literally as far as it went. God is good. That's all it went. But now Operation 612 opened the doors to where they taught me how to apply it to my life. They taught me how to live for Christ and to surrender my life to Him and to go after Him. Because I'm not, like people say, well, when I found God, well, God was never lost. He found you. He pulled you out of that. God's never lost. No, He called on you. He tugged on your heart. He went after your heart and pulled you out of that. He's a God of love. He is awesome and amazing. And then again, I just want to thank Light in the Valley for the invitation, and thank you for what you're doing, not only in the church, but outside of the church, helping other ministries like these guys got in Flint, Michigan. Thank you. That encourages me to keep going, and I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Wayne. Wayne is one of those guys that gives you a shot in the arm to keep doing what we're doing, and a lot of the graduates. So you guys come on up, and come on up, you guys. And I want to kind of just a brief introduction, who they are, where they're from. Harold, you can come on up here too. You're part of the guys too. You need a lot of rehab. Okay, I'm going to just tell, they're just going to say who they are, where they're from. I guess the point I'm trying to say here is that even though we're a local ministry here, we don't just help local people. I guess me and my wife and everybody, we try to, we know what it is on the part of the family side, so we try to reach out to families. And if we need somebody to go with us, Wayne or one of the graduates, we take them with us. That's probably why we get home. We were out all night Friday night, got home at 4:30 in the morning. So why do we do that? Because we know where they're at. And so I'm just going to go around here and hand the mic and tell them just say your name and where you're from.
Jason Jordan from Greenfield, Ohio.
Kyle Orlich, Chillicothe, Ohio.
Jason Slabaugh, Napanee, Indiana.
Aaron Stutzman, Goshen, Indiana.
Chester Miller, Middlefield, Ohio.
Cameron Mitchell, Zanesville, Ohio.
Michael Anderson, Dayton, Ohio.
Anthony Thomas, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Derek Moore, Akron, Ohio.
Stephen Miller, Napanee, Indiana.
Austin Waddy in Massillon, Ohio.
Michael Augustine, Warren, Ohio.
Dalton Richards, Mansfield, Ohio.
Josh Beeman, Mount Vernon, Ohio.
Jordan Ott, Chillicothe. Harley Yoder, Broadus, Montana.
And this is Leonard. He does a lot of the one-on-ones and helps along with that. And Harold, I guess you guys know Harold Chively, so he's on our team too. So I guess now I want to say, how do we do this? How can we do this? One of the reasons is because of you guys. Because you guys help us out monthly, and a lot of community, a lot of businesses, a lot of churches. You might not be the guy that is out there at night, is going to try and talk to people. You might not be the guy that wants to come down and minister and help with Bible studies and all that, but it takes a team. We can't do this by ourselves. And so that's the great thing that it'll be interesting to see how close I'm not good with locations, so it'll be interesting to see how close Sturgis, the women facility in Flint is there. We might want to connect and help each other out there. There's no competition in this, I guarantee you. So the way that part of the rest of the support comes from, in each place, in the Sugar Creek location, 7 guys work. They work at Walnut Creek Planing. He gives 7 guys work every week. So they have 2 teams, and they switch off, and then if one's sick or whatever, we guarantee him to have 7 guys there every day. And that support, whatever he donates for that labor, goes to the ministry to help the day-to-day operations. And in Sturgis, Michigan, Country 8 Gatherings is in Shipshewana. They have committed to give 7 of the girls work. So 2 are working there right now, but as we keep adding women and children, our goal and our vision is to have 16 women there plus their children. So the women that stay back will take care of the other, if they have children, take care of the children and volunteers and whatever. So we just want to again thank you as a church for being part of Operation 612. And thanks for inviting us out. God bless you guys.